Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm delighted that you're with us today. The whole really huge area of afterlife related research is very broad and complex. And I've been doing this research, I've been doing really for 50 years, ever since the 1970s, and in such detail and such a disciplined fashion that I've never run out of stuff to do research on, frankly. All the evidence there is of life after death is so exhaustive that I've never run out of stuff to study. Even the gospel studies I've been doing is part of this greater research, since after all, it dovetails together nicely. Jesus turns out to be a secular figure for those who are wondering how it all fits together, and there's ample secular evidence of his existence. And the way his teachings work, the whole quantum consciousness aspect of reality is an area where afterlife researchers have been working for the better part of a century, and traditional matter based scientists are only barely beginning to even begin to grasp the edges of what we've learned, which is scientific, and they really don't even get that yet at all. So this is an area where there is so much to learn. And one wonderful area which has been very productive of afterlife research evidence and has been active for at least a century and a half has been one where we have a guest today who can talk about it. And we haven't really done much with it here on Seek Reality because I haven't had someone who could really talk to you about it. So I'm delighted today to have someone who can do that for us. His, li- his name is Clive Siegner, and he's been an ITC researcher, Instrumental Transcommunication. This is a fancy topic. He's been a researcher for almost a decade now. But this is, as I say, an area where people have been doing this work for actually probably 100 years. But the thing about talking this way with spirits is that, frankly, it's very difficult because, yes, it uses equipment, but we have to have people on what they call the other side who understand this equipment and can use it too. And Clive has been recorded conversations with the spirits of more than 100 people who have transitioned and with more than 40 sleeping people. And he is confident that the work that he has done and the books and audio supplements, it's hard for me to say that, and videos that he has available on his website, and his website I'll give you at the end of our conversation, is a wonderful evidence that actually, once again, proves life after death. So he has done, just in that 10-year time, a lot of very productive work. And of course, everybody in this area of research, everybody in the whole broad area of afterlife research knows everybody else. So I'm going to be interested to hear what you think when you hear his story. Clive, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm pleased to be here with you. Hopefully, we can all learn something.
But Clive, tell us who got you interested in this and got you involved.
Well, actually, it started at an afterlife research conference in Arizona, uh, who was, I think, run by Craig Hogan at that time, and of
Yeah.
course, you all know Craig Hogan. And there's a lady there, a presenter by the name of Sonia Rinaldi, and Sonia Rinaldi does instrumental transcommunication work as well. Now, currently, she's not doing much work with voice, but she does these trans images that maybe you've heard about, which is quite interesting as well. But let's go on to what I'm doing. Anyways, I was quite interested after the conference, and I found out that Craig was actually trying to recruit somebody to work on instrumental transcommunication. So I I work with my computer quite often, so I got in touch with Craig, and he agreed to add me to his list of people. And then he would send me some information uh, on how to use the voices, etc. And I started to work. Now, in instrumental transcommunication, you use the human voice as the background to bring in the spirit voice. And you you do the recording over the what we call gibberish, which is the human voice run through a program which takes the syllables and mixes them up like they're in a mixing bowl, and then out it comes. And when you play it by itself, you can't make a darn thing of it. But when you use it with instrumental transcommunication, actually, and if you give a strong contact with the spirit side, you can get voices coming through that people can hear. And this is what I started doing. As I went along, and I decided I was going to try something a little different. I was able to contact my spirit side using the pendulum. And I thought, well, maybe I can find my spirit guide through this. And I did. I went and got some hypnotherapy, regressive hypnotherapy, where I went back into my past and I came and I asked, I want my spirit guide. And the voice Jared came through. Well, Jared came through, and I've been working with Jared ever since.
So this
And
is your primary spirit guide.
that's correct, my
Ah,
primary. But I asked Jared to bring in my mother and my uncle, Punch. His name is Carl, but I call him Punch. And then causal angel named Maybrit. And then an angel, new angel every day. Every time I do this, we bring in a new angel. And
wow.
my understanding that this is for actually their training, because mankind is going through a revolution in spirituality growth. I think we know that.
Yes.
And but it also requires some training on their side too. So the new angel comes in every time I do this. I ask Jared to bring in my new angel, and he does every time. So that's how I work. So I started out by myself, and I actually got my mother and my Uncle Punch to come through by myself. But when I started working with my team, they brought in many, many people, and over 100 people who have passed, and over 30
Wow.
people who have are sleeping, and actually an extraterrestrial named Oclamenta.
What was the name of the extraterrestrial?
Yes,
What was the
Oclamenta,
name? Acclimenta?
Oclamenta. Yes, and something, a lady that you talked to and had a session with was Betty Ann Miller. You remember Betty Ann?
Vaguely,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
Betty Ann is from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada,
Uh-huh.
and I'm from Tavistock, Ontario, Canada. So we're not far apart. But I met her at one of those conferences too. In fact, it was the same one that where I met Sonia Rinaldi. So
Uh-huh.
we've been close friends ever since. And Betty Ann has helped me in my writing of my book about Oclamenta. And actually, one of the interesting things about that is that uh, she she wanted to talk to Oclamenta herself. Okay, so I arranged it through the telephone and I contacted Oclamenta using my team. When I say my team does it. They asked them to
Yes.
do anything I asked them, and I've been amazed at the people that have come through. It isn't me. I'm like the telephone operator, way back
Right.
70 years ago. I just say, such and such, can I speak to such and such, Yeah, well, yes, and they bring them in. I
Right.
don't,
So this extraterrestrial, does she say where she's from?
yeah, well, the planet, I can't think of the name now, and I have to dig that up yet. She said the name of the planet, but also she said that she uh, reincarnated as a human once, and it was in Lithuania.
Oh,
And I asked her what she did there. She says, well, she worked in the media, maybe something like you do, or the paper, or whatever. And I said, well, what was the most important thing you did there? And she said, silencing Russia, never easy.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to go back to Octomenta though, and I've actually got a recording here that Betty Ann asked her, "What color of what is your color of your hair?" And she says, "Damn it, got no hair. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Okay, I'll play it for you." On January 5th, 2018. Wait a minute. When I asked Jesus. No, sorry, I got the wrong one. But we'll go with that one too if you want. Here's Betty Ann. What's the color of your hair? Did you hear that? Damn
Yeah,
it, you got no hair.
oh, got no hair.
I'll play it again.
Okay.
What's the color of your hair? Okay.
It's hard to understand her.
Yes, some of them they are until you. Yes, that's correct, and I understand that. Uh,
But
I have a number here, and
let's talk to people about why that would be true. I mean, you can when you get used to it, but the way that you do this, because let's talk about the fact that these people are trying to express themselves, but what you're doing is supplying them with noise, with vocal sounds that are just noise, right?
correct, just noise, but they you, it sounds. I don't have an example of the gibberish, but when you play it back, it sounds like it's some like you're being in a very crowded room and you're standing in the middle and everybody's yapping away differently, and
Yes,
you really can't make out anything because it's all coming from all over the place. Well, it's sort of like that. Okay, it's taking
right.
the syllables and mixing them up like that, and that's what you work with.
And then what they try to do is to turn that into what they're trying to say.
That's correct. And they work through what we call a station, and that's a station that's there's a number of them around the world, and that was people like Mr. Tesla,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Einstein, designed this station to use. And what happens is when we bring in the spirits, they are taken to that station. And now my team is very, been doing it for a long time. They give them instructions, and I do as well. And I say, please do not answer until I've asked the question, and then answer. And this is how it works basically. So I do some recordings, and I ask a question, and I wait, and I don't hear anything at that moment. I wait maybe 10 seconds, and I'll ask the next question. Maybe wait maybe 10 seconds, and so on until I've done. And then what I do is when I work at it, then I take all that and amplify it. And I really have to amplify the answer part. My part comes out, and you heard with Betty Ann there's a background noise of the recording. This is an older recording, and now when I do it, I've found a way to actually take that out before I speak, and then only use the other to bring in the spirit, and it makes it clearer as far as the question is concerned. But I wanted to play that because I thought Betty Ann and I are good friends, and I thought it'd be nice to play that for her. And
Yes.
so I
But
have,
further,
yep,
I'm trying to have because people are interested in understanding. Now, do they, because she's speaking in English. So do they have to select the syllables that sound like English? Or
no,
what
no.
how do they make English
I have
sounds?
I have a friend who is Chinese, and her father had passed. Her father was always Chinese. Okay,
Uh-huh.
I talked to him in English, and he responded in I and I spoke to him in English because I can't speak Chinese.
Of
He
course.
an- he answered in English, okay, because you speak through your thoughts there, okay. You know, it's not like I'm talking to you here. I think the
Well, this is an
words.
important concept. So what they're doing is they're thinking the answer because we know that there in the afterlife, people communicate by thought. So
Yes,
they're thinking the answer into the machine and it speaks the answer to you here.
that's correct. That's
Yes.
it. It's the same principle as what I'm talking to sleeping dogs, and I have, okay. And dogs understand English. We know that simple. Then because we talk to them in English. We
Uh-huh.
tell them sit, or roll over. They'll do it. They understand English words. They
Right.
can respond in English too. And I have a number of dogs where I've done this. So yes,
And if that dog had just come over from Spain, always been a Spanish dog, would it understand when you said roll over?
I don't know that. I
I'm just
really don't.
curious about how
I
all of this works because
I
I've so it's been I never really got to interview anyone who does this.
well, if you go to my website,
Yeah.
okay, some videos there that I
Uh-huh.
think will help people. There's one that I show people how I actually do a recording, and
Okay.
in the video, of course, I show them how I use the gibberish, and then I do the recording, and then I take the recording, and this is one of my with my Uncle Punch, and I asked him, are you here? And he says, yes, I am. So
I've
that
actually I've been to the website and I listened to some of the recordings and you can hear the actual it sounds like what the answer that you're saying they're giving. It does sound like that answer. And the people who are listening, if you go there and you understand, if you were in the afterlife, they would be thinking that answer into the machine in the laboratory in the station in the afterlife, and it would be going into his machine here and coming out as words here. That
correct.
that's what would be happening in those words we would understand as English words.
And we really have to thank Nikola Tesla for that. Okay. I have had a number of conversations with him and still do. So uh, we really do. So much of what we have in our world here is the fact that I'm talking to you. You're far away. We're far away. And it doesn't matter. Nikola Tesla is behind the very beginning of that, which he gave to the world for nothing.
And now we have
But yeah,
cars. But he didn't invent those cars, did he? He
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
invent Teslas. They were just named in honor of him. I'm
yeah.
I'm teasing, but no, it is true. He is behind a lot of things we take for granted now. Quite
And a
true.
lot, yeah, and a lot of the work done on ITC, you can thank him for, and Einstein, and there's a number of others in there as well
Yeah.
who know the the, the website that if you're going to look at the website, I would suggest you look at the videos first because that is a way of demonstrating the same as we're doing it here. I show the machine, I show how it's done, and I show how I
Right.
bring it out. And this will help people. Maybe some people are interested in trying it. Why not? You know, one thing I would say to anybody who's thinking of doing this is that you must protect yourself first. I'm a strong believer in doing that. And I always say a little prayer before I start. And it's basically this: Dear God, I ask you to please cover me with the white light of your protection so that no negative entities could ever enter my space, no matter where I am. And then I would say, can you please bring in my main guy, Jared? And I'll use my pendulum for that. Okay. And he brings it in, and I asked, "Can you bring in so and so or such and such?" And yes, you never fail to bring somebody in. The only time I was not able to talk to that person is when it was somebody I didn't know who had just died, and I, Jared said he doesn't want to talk,
Yeah.
and I understand that because initially, sometimes the shock of dying, people don't even know they're dead. You know, they because they feel the same as they were when they 10 minutes ago, and yet no pain. What's going on here?
Yeah, no, it is a very surprising thing.
Yeah,
The transition is a very surprising event, right?
that it is. Yes, for sure. So I love the work I did with Oclamenta. I think that there's if other people would like to who are interested in ETs have a look. I mean, they might surprise what they might learn. And I do believe that there are more people like Aunt Clementa living in human bodies right now.
Yeah.
I really believe that because oh, she was such a sweetheart. She is a sweetheart.
Well, yeah, the problem is that we don't know this, but beings from other planets and beings anyway who are in any way peculiar find this to be a very scary planet and human beings in general to be quite frightening. We don't think of ourselves that way, but we are thought of that way.
I I I I believe though that those people from other planets who want to visit us can 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 observe us. Spirits observe us all the time. We just don't see them.
Yeah,
And,
my
and,
mother,
and that is
when I visited her, but actually I don't do that much anymore, but shortly after she died, I did visit her a few times. Um, she showed me that they're into electronics now, which surprises me, but they are. They have a kind of screen which they normally use it's just like a picture on the wall, but they have a kind of screen they can use to watch us here, and
mhm.
and they enjoy doing that. So I'm sure
They
that since they can do it, the extraterrestrials can as well, and that's a lot safer than getting into a body and coming here and seeing actually, being here because we are scary. We
well, here,
don't understand a blessed thing. We don't st Most people don't because they don't study the afterlife as you and I have done, and they
no,
don't understand
they
anything. Most
no,
people.
and that is the problem, and it's a matter of dealing with these people in a way that doesn't turn them off. And that's the thing. Because as you probably know, you can do that very easy too.
Yeah, most people are pretty scary. Most people are afraid, and fear, breeds terror. And whatever you're afraid of, you just as soon kill as look at it, figure it out later. And that's what that's why they're scared of us. So okay, so what you commonly do then is first you protect yourself, and then you conjure these beings, and you call them in, and then you ask them questions.
Yes, that's correct. And and then I wait a period of time, and this is I'm not sure I understand why, but this is what Jared and suggested I do, so I do. And it may be 24 hours. It may be I don't know. I cannot explain why. I don't understand the mechanics of why. But anyways, I'll wait 1 or 2 days, and then I will look at it, and then I will work with it. And because I've found out that I have a bit of clairaudience, which means I can hear this without when others cannot, I have to be very careful. That's why I try to get people to review recordings I've made to be sure that they hear it too. Betty Ann was very good at that, and she helped me with the Oclamenta one very much, and I really appreciate what she did. one of the probably the most important work I have done though was going back 4 or 5 years now. I was able to contact Jesus, and I asked Jesus if he would give us some suggestions for our spiritual growth. And he did. And a number of them were basically the same things that you're going to hear in the Bible. And I asked him, one question was, do you have a suggestion, another suggestion for our spiritual growth? And he said, walk in perfect love. And this to me, and I've got that recording here. If you'd like to hear it, I'll play it. Okay,
Okay. Now,
here it
this
is.
is not going to be the voice of Jesus,
No, it's
which
not going to
is
be his voice.
which is
This is going to
different,
be,
but this will be the the electronic voice coming out of a machine that the thought of Jesus animates.
yeah, listen to this little recording from him.
On January 5th, 2018, when I asked Jesus for a suggestion for our spiritual growth, he replies, walk in perfect love. Here is the ITC recording. Jesus, can you give us another suggestion for our spiritual growth? Walk in perfect love. Walk in perfect love. Walk in perfect love.
Yeah, that's quite clear.
Yes, some of them were very clear. And he might queer walk in perfect love. And to me, this is the most important thing we can think of today. It really is. I
Oh, certainly
strongly,
right now, yes.
I
That's for
strongly
sure.
believe in his teachings. And as a matter of fact, I wrote a book about it's called here it is. It's called People Who Knew Jesus Before and After His Resurrection. And
Crucifixion, yes, yeah, right.
it includes, of course, Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Mary, his mother, uh, a couple of people who, Dolores Cannon, you know Dolores Cannon?
Yes, I've heard of her.
Yes, and she's written a couple books about spirituality, and a couple of people who knew Jesus. And these, I asked if Jared if he could bring up these people, and he did, and they also talked about their time with even his niece and the fellow who actually was his first teacher as a very young fella, a very young man, 12, 13, 14, something at that age. So, and now I'm working on a final book, and it's going to be released, I would think, somewhere in the next month or two. And it's about the aura and what it means to us. And the first part of the book is basically further conversations with Jesus about the aura. When I ask him if he thought if he could see the colors in the aura, and he said yes, he could. And I said, do you think that helps you in assessing the avail or the ability of the people you would like to choose for your apostles? And he said, yes, I think it did. So very important. And I also talked to Mary Magdalene, who could also see the colors as well, and his mother and the others I had talked to in my previous book. And then I try to help people understand what the aura really means. What is the aura? And I believe the aura is this. It is that portion of our total spirit that has been transferred to our human body sometime during the pregnancy of the woman. And it it was that trip was actually planned by a group of spirits, including for example, in my case, assuming myself, as to what I want to do, what are my plans for incarnating. They may be very, very simple. They may be very complicated, depending upon the person involved and how many times they have reincarnated. And this is, to me, very important to try to understand what is our purpose. The big problem with knowing our purpose is that in the first 7 years of our existence, we're in the what I call the subconscious state of mind. Everything that goes into into our brain at that point in time goes into the subconscious part, okay? Because it's coming from others, my mother, my father, my sister, whoever I'm with, my uncles, aunts, who were with me during that early part of my life, okay? And imprint. And those subconscious programs run us about 95% of the time. And the part I'm talking to you now is my 5%, okay? That applies to all of us, but all of us have subconscious programs that can hurt us in our own spiritual development. They're there for a reason, and they're very important. You got to learn how to eat, feed yourself, make money, raise a family. All those things you need to learn. You need to learn what's important and what's not, and it's a very important guide for us. But sometimes we're told things that really are not the truth. For example, if I was raised in a family in the deep South way back in the 1920s, and my parents were rich white slave owners, and I was told that slaves are below human. They're not really human. They're like the cattle, okay? And okay, that's what they told me. These are the people that fed me and clothed me, helped me. So when I got to the age of 8 or 9 or 10, I started meeting, and all of a sudden I would see some of these people, and they were really nice to me, and I thought, oh, I can't bother with that. He's terrible, So this is a subconscious program, probably an unwanted program, which, unless you are able to confront it, you may never be able to change it, and those things remain with you all your life. And I wonder, in your election coming up in a very short time, how much those subconscious programs are affecting the people who are going to vote now. I wonder.
Well, we try to ignore the election because if you can't change it, and if it's very upsetting, you just don't want it to disturb your peace.
Well, actually, you can change your own if you understand that you've been programmed, and that
Oh
therefore.
no, oh no, oh no, I understand. Everything
Yeah.
you're saying, I do understand completely. But I'm saying when you mentioned the election, there's no way that I single-handedly can change that
Oh
outcome.
no, oh no, no. Only way you can help is to vote. Who you
I got one
believe is
vote.
right.
I got one vote. What can my one vote do except one vote?
That's okay. It's better than none.
Oh, sure. We're going to vote, naturally. But that's all I can do is one vote.
Yeah. Well, I wrote actually a book about that as well, or my first book is about how to handle some conscious programs, and actually there are ways of changing them
Oh,
if
sure.
you
Oh
understand it.
yeah. Oh yeah. I understand all of that. We're in download phase right through the age of, well, it's not 7, it's more like 5 to 6. But we're in download phase the first part of our lives. That's by design.
Well, of
We,
course,
we if we questioned everything we learned in the first 5 to 6 years, it would be much harder for us to survive in the wild, as they say. But we
yeah.
we we learn from our parents, and we don't question it. And
All
then later
all
on, we learn to question it.
That's right. All living creatures learn it.
Yeah.
The rabbit has to learn that if there's something, if this thing is dangerous, you see freeze or run like hell.
Right.
That is taught and important, and it's obviously very important.
Yeah. But no, I fully agree with you that what we learn in the first 5 to 6 years, we don't question until we're much, much older.
That's right.
And much of it, if we've had good parents, much of it turns out to be sound, but some of it's not. And we have to learn to weed it out and throw it away. And
That's
we
right.
do.
Well, my parents broke up when I was 6, and I went to live with my grandparents here in Tavistock. But they were good people. They were Christian people, and actually lived right across from the church. And my grandmother, she played the organ at church, and of course, I had to go to Sunday school. So I was involved with the Christian upbringing, and that carried on. I even went to church camp when I was in my early teens. Was even a I was even a lifeguard there for a while. But as I got older and I was married, and uh, I started to question. I read the Bible twice through, cover to cover, and I found that there were many things in there that were not consistent. One
Not
and
only
one.
not consistent, they were nothing. Oh, my dear one. They were nothing, they had nothing to do with what Jesus taught.
No,
Um,
no, I agree. I agree.
Jesus taught perfect truths. And
It,
then along came Constantine in the year 325, and he destroyed everything that Jesus taught. And he made this
mm,
new religion that is
yeah,
totally different from
yeah,
everything that Jesus taught.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
I've
And
read the Bible, because I majored in it in college, and I read the Bible probably 15 times straight through. And how many times did I get hit over the head by the fact that had nothing to do with what
I
Jesus?
know. I know. And that's why today I would say, if I send this to people, I say, look, as far as I'm concerned, if you if you believe in the teachings of Jesus, you're on the right path.
But
That's
everything
important.
else is garbage. Yes.
That
Yes.
and Jesus in my book, he talked about Paul. There's things Paul did that Jesus didn't like,
Yep, of course.
and
But you know something? You know that the 23rd Psalm, by speaking the tongues of men and of angels and have not love, Jesus channeled that. And you can
yeah,
find that he clearly channeled it if you read it in context, because you're reading Paul's nonsense, and you come to the 23rd. No, 1 Corinthians 13, that's what it is. 1 Corinthians 13, you come to that, and it's beautiful. And then you go back to read, 1 Corinthians 14, and it's garbage again. Jesus channeled that work. He channeled 1 Corinthians 13. Isn't that beautiful?
hmm
I,
yes.
I
Yeah.
just can't begin to. Oh, I wish we had more time to talk. We have come to the end of our time. Can you believe that? It's just all went so quickly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anytime you want to talk, just let me know.
What would you like people to know about instrumental transcommunication? How would you like to summarize what we said today?
Well, the most important thing I can tell people is if you can always assume nothing is truth and question everything, including me, I make mistakes like everybody does. It'll allow you to think beyond what you may have been taught. Okay? Your mother and your father taught you certain things. The example I gave, they taught you that the black people are ignorant, stupid, not even
Oh,
human.
no, no, yeah,
If
that's
you can
crazy.
allow yourself to think beyond that and start to find ways to change, and for example, we'll talk to some black people, find out, what about this guy in the next class? Why don't I just say something and see what he said? And found out that, well, he seemed to be quite nice. He not didn't and he seemed to understand the teachings very well. Well, how can he be stupid? those are the things you have to do. You have to be able to remember, decide, I'm going to challenge this. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I'll have the courage to admit I'm wrong. You got to have the courage to admit when you're wrong, because we all are lots of times. I know I
Yes.
am, particularly these days. Oh, gee.
No, but the thing is, ITC is just in its infancy, but it is a technology that did come from Nikola Tesla, who didn't invent the car, but he invented some things which are a lot more wonderful. And one of the things he did invent was a way for us to communicate with people who are not here in body, but who are here in spirit. And they, if we give them away, they can communicate with us quite wonderfully. No, this is really beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And
you're very welcome.
yeah, we will talk again. And I'm so glad to have had the opportunity to have this enjoyable conversation with you.
Oh,
You know, it's
me too.
the part of the Gospels, beyond the Gospels, a part of the New Testament from Paul that Jesus did channel. I think he had something. He felt he had one more thing he wanted to make sure he got across to us was 1 Corinthians 13. That letter is beautiful, and Jesus is confirmed that he did in fact channel that letter. So you stay there. I'm going to talk to you afterwards, but I just
Okay.
need to just quickly speak for a few more minutes. So everyone, I just want you to know, and once again, know that my beloved friends, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. I'm so happy you were with us today. Please never forget. I will never let you forget that you are a powerful and you are an eternal being. You never began, and because you are here right now, you know for certain that you never will end. It's impossible for you ever to die. And when you get all the implications of that fact, it changes everything in your life for the better. Next week, our guest is going to be Brian Smith. He'll be with us just for the second time, but Brian is a personal friend of mine and a notable podcaster and blogger in his own account. He presents at events now, so I'm surprised really to realize that he was only here once before. He's going to be our guest on Seek Reality, but he came to this work really quite a long time ago in the way that many people do. His beautiful daughter, Shayna, transitioned in her sleep one night when she was very young. And since then, Brian has been working with a wonderful organization helping parents heal to help other grieving parents and everyone who's lost their lives, their family's lives, someone in their family, to rebuild, to grow from that experience and to still have a good life. We think you're going to enjoy coming to know my wonderful, beautiful friend Brian, so please be sure to join us next week. Today we've been talking with Clive Siegner, who has been with us for the first time, but Clive is kind of a departure because he's someone who does ITC research, and I'm surprised more people don't do it because if you know how to do it, you can talk with people who aren't here because you can give them a way to talk to you. And he's been doing this work for 10 years. He started to do it because our beautiful, wonderful friend Craig Hogan is interested in it, and he sort of got the nuts and bolts from it from Craig and started doing it on his own. Now, as you know, our great friend Craig is the president and guru of Seek Reality Online, and that's your one-stop resource for all things afterlife. Just go to seekreality.com and start to learn for yourself that your own reality really, truly is eternal. It's not your choice. You can't say, gee, I hope I'm going to live forever and find out, oh my goodness, I am. You're going to live forget forever, whether you like it or not. So you may as well learn from Craig and his wonderful, wonderful website, Seek Reality Online, seekreality.com. You may as well learn from him all about it now so you can be an expert when you get there. It saves you from having to do a lot of learning then. And of course, teachingsbyjesus.com is your best resource for all the beautiful divine truths that are brought to us now in perfect love by the greatest teacher of them all, Master Jesus. Now, at really is Jesus's turn, as Christianity, which is the religion that was created by the Roman Emperor Constantine 300 years after Jesus transitioned and then rose from the dead. Believe it or not, he did. We have proof he did truly rise from the dead. And then he waited and he saved really from a lot of pain after death, all the hundreds of millions of people that were damaged by Roman Christianity. Jesus saved them all, and he's so much more powerful, and I can testify to that, than he ever was when he was here as a person on earth. Jesus finally is having his turn now. The genuine teachings of Jesus can at last and truly come alive for us all. Teachings by Jesus is only out the bones of a website that is going to be his website. So if you want to talk about any of this, you know how to reach me. Some people have said to me, it's just the bones. Yeah, it's just the bones. We're waiting for Jesus to give us more information. Also, as you know by now, my own nonfiction books are Liberating Jesus, My Thomas, The Fun of Dying, The Fun of Staying in Touch, The Fun of Growing Forever, The Fun of Living Together, and The Fun of Loving Jesus, Embracing the Christianity that Jesus taught. For young children, there is The Fun of Meeting Jesus, and you can order all my books through bookstores or on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. And if you want to talk about anything at all, just contact me through the green contact block on robertagrimes.com. I answer every email, although it can take me a week or two because I get a lot of emails. And all of the more than 550 past episodes of Seek Reality are available wherever audio podcasts can be found, or you can find the new videos each week on Roku, Fire Stick, YouTube, and elsewhere. Meanwhile, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Enjoy, please make the most of this coming week in our one reality, always knowing that you in particular are a powerful, eternal being, and you most of all in this entire universe. You in particular are infinitely, eternally, and perfectly forever loved.